Good morning and welcome back to the channel. If it's the first time you've been on the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the thumbs up for this video. Wow, we have a lot of Celtic news to get through this morning. Ali McCoist has been talking about the fact that we could be on the verge of bringing back Brendan Rodgers today. O has been talking about the fact that he's playing Peru and El Salvador in friendlies. Rio Hatate gives hints that he might not be going to Tottenham, he would like to stay at Celtic. And then the big news that broke last night is obviously that Scott Brown, the Brownie could return, and people at Celtic Park are actually going to get their finger together. They're going to bring in Brendan Rodgers with a long-term view of bringing Scott Brown in as manager, and I'm going to tell you why Scott Brown would get the manager's job before long-term backroom staff John Kennedy. So stick around to the end of the video. There's a lot to get through, so let's jump back to the first bit that we spoke about. Is obviously Ali McCoist thinks that Brendan Rodgers would be a brilliant replacement to come back to Celtic. He's been talking on Talk Sport this morning about a potential return as Celtic are closing in on their manager, coming off the back of an 8th domestic treble under Postecoglou. You've got to remember that Brendan Rodgers delivered 2 of those big moments in Celtic's history to bring in double treble, and the fact that he did leave and go to Leicester, a lot of fans seem to be getting over the fact that he did that. A lot of fans are split, saying that he wouldn't be welcome back, but despite the concerns whether he'd be welcome back or not, McCoy says he believes it would be a brilliant option for Celtic. I think Brendan's such a great coach. The only thing that you can't say is a section of the Celtic support would not be happy. They weren't happy when he left, and the manner he left wasn't acceptable. The fact that he did leave during the season. I don't care what anybody says McCoy. This is how Brendan went back there. He would start winning games and he would start winning trophies. That's the most important thing to Celtic Football Club. He was then asked if he thinks that Celtic fans would forget his sudden departure. He says, football is fickle. It doesn't matter what club you're at, generally speaking, they are fickle. Football fans are fickle. They are so fickle. But it is what it is. Scott Brown, what we've heard is Scott Brown could be targeted as his number 2. And there's people inside Celtic Park who think that bringing Scott Brown in would be a long-term replacement for... it would be a long-term replacement for Brendan if he was to then leave. Now, the reason that Scott Brown would get the manager's job before Kennedy is Celtic have a history of bringing in Celtic captains as a manager, and unfortunately Kennedy's playing career was cut short, and even though he is respected within the club, I don't think that they see him as management material just yet. Although he's been at the club a long time, he has been number 2 under Postecoglou. I think they see Brownie as bringing in a succession thing finally. I mean, it's something that everyone has spoken about that Celtic are completely useless at over the years. They never bring in a number 2 who could take the club just once the manager leaves. The managers are going to come and go. Celtic really need to get in a position now where when the next manager does leave, the assistant steps up. You know, it's been done before at other clubs. It can be done at Celtic. Right, let's get on to Celtic players. O has been talking about the fact that he spent the 22 World Cup in reserves. He says he wants to prove to Korea in the friendlies against Peru and El Salvador. That's a couple of cracking friendlies. It's good to see our players playing at that level and playing the likes of Peru and El Salvador. Playing against the South American teams. That can only improve him as a player. He went on to say, he says, I don't know about playing time, but whether I'm given 1 minute or 90 minutes, I will do my best, said O during an interview when he was with the national team. He says they play on Tuesday. He says, I want to do better. I want to show that a more powerful and threatening performance inside the penalty box. He looks as if he's really want to have a really good go next season, and I think it's just next season. We need to get back to being excited about football again. The manager thing's in the past. We need to get excited about the people that are coming in. The fact that Bruni might be coming back to Celtic, you can understand why he might leave Fleetwood. Obviously, their owner has just been done for fraud. Bruni might think it's a good time to go. He did put on his Instagram, he thanked everyone at the club for their help last season and the support and backing that they gave him. It might be a good time, but will he want to leave his mates that he brought in? Would he want to then come back to Celtic and be number 2? Does that appeal to him? And it's all good going out and being your own man and learning your trade at the lower leagues, but the chance to come back in and be assistant manager at Celtic with the possibility of, you're going to be assistant manager to a team in the Champions League. The quality of players are going to be a lot better. Ultimately, he wants to be a high level manager, and could it be that's the natural succession that Celtic have been looking for? And talking about more good news this morning for Celtic fans, I'm full of it today. Rio Hatate hints at stay at Celtic, despite the links to Tottenham. Now, Tottenham have suggested that he wouldn't get a work permit down in England, which is even better for us. The 25-year-old enjoyed an impressive season since joining the Japanese side, from the Japanese side. With 9 goals and 11 assists in 45 matches, Hatate is under contract until 2026. European clubs such as Tottenham and there's been a French one, and although Spurs are monitoring the situation, they have concerns whether we get a work permit in England, which is even better for us. However, Hatate has proved the sport. Brighton are after him, Lazio are meant to be after him, but he has said, looking at my own season, I played 32 league games, scoring 6 goals and assisting 9. And he says, I had 9 goals and 11 assists. Hatate told reporters, he says, I was aiming for double figures with goals and assists. I didn't reach my goal scoring target, which will be my challenge for next season. He acknowledged jealousy towards Kyogo. He says, if I had just played a little bit better and worked a bit harder throughout the season, I could have won the honour of being the Players' Player of the Year. He says, for a foreign player to come in and score 27 goals like Kyogo did, he says it was a remarkable feat. The fact that players are talking about staying at Celtic and not following Ange Postecoglou at the door is something to be excited about. Reporters are reporting now that Scott Brown could be offered a position at Celtic. Could it mean that Kennedy is on his way out? Would that soften the blow for you Celtic fans to let Kennedy go? Would you like to see Scott Brown as an assistant to the one and only Brendan Rodgers? Brendan Rodgers is here for 3 in a row. Brendan Rodgers is here. Just make sure that natural dominance of Scottish football. No, you've got to look at the one thing, right? The Celtic board have one thing, and it's something that Peter Lawwell spoke about years ago. It says they have one main objective, and that main objective is to dominate Scottish football and get into the Champions League every season. We've not managed to get into the Champions League every season, but we have managed to dominate Scottish football for the best part of 20 years. And we need to keep that going. And as a club, the next progression is we really need to start making some kind of impact, and do the board see the fact that Brendan is the man to make that little bit of an impact, just to get us into, even finishing third. We've spoke about this lots of time on the channel. Maybe our main objective is to just finish third, maybe even second sometime, and then drop down into the Europa. 2003, I always say, was the perfect example of that. So let's check for any quick updates. Brendan Rodgers, the manager with trophies and European progress. There's nothing else out at the moment. As soon as anything comes out, tell me what you think about in the comments. Tell me what you think about the fact that Bruni could be offered the assistant manager's job at Celtic. He just had that night at the Armadillo with Lustig and everybody, where he said goodbye to the fans. Could it be one of the shortest goodbyes ever, and will he be back at the club? That would be absolutely fantastic. So remember, chin up, smile. We are still top of the league, looking down on the Rangers. We are treble champions for the 8th time. We've got lots to look forward to. It's all over. The man could be on the way to return to Celtic. Tell me what you think. On that note, have a great day, Celtic fans all around the world.